Our next guest, I've known Craig Dunlap for several years, and a few years ago I had the privilege of interviewing Craig and his business partner Kirk in a hotel room in Vegas. Kirk in his boxer shorts and black socks. That was a lot of fun. It was one of my all-time favorite episodes because these guys were raw and real, very authentic, and they went through some pretty big changes, but I'm going to shut up so you can hear about those from Craig. Craig Dunlap, everybody.
Get my clicker, sorry. Here you go, Jamie, sorry. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. All right, I am up here to talk about being more efficient. I am that annoying guy who always wants to be more efficient. I'm always looking for a better way to do things, so that I save time, save money, save headaches. As you can imagine, I probably take it too far sometimes. And sometimes it backfires. So a quick example of a time where it backfired. A few years ago, I said, I want to work out more. I want to exercise. I'm not getting enough exercise. I'm not getting out there. So I said, well, I don't want to join. Can you hear me? Yeah. To home, take a shower, get to the office. So I had the idea, I want to ride to the office. It was great. I like to tell people that I was getting a 20-minute workout in 5 minutes. But the problem was it was great, and I only took 5 more minutes to get to the office because I was running stop signs. And this nice police officer didn't appreciate my efficiency. So a $225 ticket later, and even worse, a day at defensive driving. Yes, you have to do defensive driving for a bike ticket because it goes on your automobile insurance. I wasn't quite as efficient as I wanted to be. So while personal life hacks aren't my expertise, I did want to come up here and talk about some of our experience with trying to become a more efficient, more profitable company in the industry. I want to focus on 2 areas. One, we spent a lot of time reevaluating our client list. And second, I'll talk about how we use offshoring on a grand scale to strengthen our core competencies. Hopefully you get a few ideas from me. I'm happy to talk with everybody more after, but hopefully it sparks some ideas so that you can save time. Really, part of the goal is just to get some breathing room back in your life. I'm sure you're busy like all of us. So who here has the mentality, has the mantra, always say yes? You know what I'm talking about. Turn 6 t-shirts for a bachelor party so that maybe somebody on that trip works for Google and you get a 60,000 t-shirt order out of it. Or maybe screen print 120 golf towels in a day for the local golf fundraiser so that they put your name on the banner and maybe somebody sees your logo and places an order. Well, we were the kings of it. And it seemed to be working. We were picking up clients left and right. Word was getting around that we would do just about anything for anybody. Even better, revenue was going up. We did $1 million our first year. We did over $3 million our second year. We did over $4 million our 4th year. It seemed to be great. Well, there were some problems. When you have that mentality, what it meant for us was we were working a lot of hours, a ton of hours. 70 to 90 hour weeks all year. Our employees were crying out to us for workload help. We couldn't hire good people fast enough to stay up with the work. Next problem was we were starting to deal with some pretty nasty clients, especially when the occasional order would go wrong. Here's our all-time favorite. Our all-time favorite example was someone called and said, I need 10 t-shirts for my family reunion in 2 days. You got to get them done for me. So we had to design the artwork. We had to order the blanks. We had to print the t-shirts. We had to pay the rush charge. Everybody knows the drill on those orders. Well, to top it all off, our screen printer accidentally shipped the shirts via 3-day ground instead of overnight. So we missed the deadline, or we were going to miss the deadline. And then we got to deal with this from our client. We sent a message. We said, hey Hillis, really sorry, but the shirts accidentally shipped ground, and we won't get there by this weekend. We're working on a solution. He said, I don't care what happened. Fix this in the next hour. You're going to call my dad and explain to him what happened. He thinks I'm a screw up, and I don't want to tell him. That is actually what happened. So we, not only were we probably only going to make about $25 in gross profit on this order, we now had to deal with some major daddy issues. We definitely didn't sign up for that. And then there was one last problem, which was more serious than the others. So our revenue was going up, but our profit was going down. We were break even at $4.4 million. We were doing a ton of work, and not really getting paid for it. Something definitely had to change. We didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't really have any good solutions. We brainstormed some ideas, and they were really bad, but we tried to put them into place. The first one we said, let's hire more people. We're growing. We're going to continue to grow. If we hire people now, we'll have some workload help. It'll get a little bit better. Well, what that really did was just put a lot more pressure on us to sell a lot more. And it's really hard to grow your sales when you've got to train a lot of people. Add to that, adding salaries doesn't really help with the profitability problem. The next thing we tried to do, we tried to say, you know what, let's make really good margin on those smaller accounts. So we put some rules into place. We said to our account executives, no more orders under 40% for a certain type of client. Don't waive any setup charges. Mark up shipping a lot more. Don't waive rush charges. And yes, it ended up being as silly as it sounded. We ran clients away, as you can imagine. We had a whole lot more of the calls from our clients saying, can I speak to your manager? So there's just a lot of that. It wasn't working. We couldn't fix it ourselves. So we are lucky enough to be in a group of businessmen and women. It's a nationwide group. It's called C12. We meet with them monthly. We're able to share the most intimate details of our business. We share everything, all the gory stuff, financials. We shared with them our profitability, the fact we were running away clients, our employees being burned out, really all of it. They're not from our industry, but through a few hours of questioning, once a year we present to them everything. A few hours of questioning, they're really able to poke holes in our business, see where these issues were coming up, blind spots that we had, and really offer up solutions. So honestly, if I could leave you with one bit of encouragement just from our experience, if you don't have a group of 5 to 10 people that you're willing to share everything about your business to, they can be in the industry or out of it, but if you don't have that, find it. Show everything to them. Let them know all the problems, all the successes, everything like that. And I think you'll see a lot of fruit from it. Call it one step back to take two steps forward. Let them tear you down and then build you back up. It has absolutely paid dividends for us. So we share everything once a year on a big level to them, and they're able to really build us back up. So here's what we showed them in 2013. So overall, it wasn't too bad. Sales were about $4.5 million. We had a ton of clients. Remember, we wanted to bring in everybody, and I promise you they were all going to be huge. We had a little bit of a concentration issue with our biggest client, but our top 50 accounts accounted for a good amount of revenue. So overall, not bad. Well, it got a little uglier as we did a little more digging. So we tracked our time. I'm not sure if y'all have done that before. It was a very good exercise for us. Everybody in the company had to track every minute of their time, really down to the 15-minute increment on every project, every client. We are a high-touch, very high-custom business. We do larger projects, and so in general we do, but for us, this was really, really good to see how much time and energy goes into an order. So to simplify this, what we found was any order at 30% or lower needed to be higher than $917 to be, profitable. And actually, that didn't even factor in the non-salaried costs like rent and marketing and insurance. So it really needed to be higher. Now, I'm not advocating, and we didn't say, okay, we're not doing any more orders below $917, but it was very eye-opening. It was a great exercise to do. Even more alarming for us was when we took a look at the bottom 20% of our revenue. So if you see up there, it was just under $900,000. We had a lot of clients that accounted for that. Remember, we had 455 total. It's incorrectly written up there, but the most telling one was the average order size. It says average client size, but it's supposed to be average order size. The average order size was $926 when we pooled together these clients. What that meant in the end was we had only $8,400 in bottom line profit on all of this. So we had 4.5 people of 10 at the time dedicated to only $8,400 worth of profit. We also had 925 orders, which gave us 925 chances to have to call somebody's dad and tell him that his son's a screw up. So wasn't pretty. So we showed this to our peer board at C12. It was really easy for them to tell us, to take a look at this and say, you got to get rid of some clients. You just have to. So we said, no way, not a chance, not a chance. These clients, these 329 clients are great referral sources. That's where we got most of our business. That's, they're great, we can't do it. And we said, no, this industry is all about always saying yes. You've got to say yes to everything. You got to say yes. We're not going to do it. And well, they said, a couple things they said, which was great. As far as the referrals are concerned, they said, do an exercise. And I recommend this for you as well. Take a look at your clients and write out where they came from. Write out the source of that referral and see if you see a pattern. And we did. So we wrote them out, and what we saw was, in general, and this was almost across the board, but I'll just say in general, clients of a certain size refer you to companies of a similar size. So think about it, and this is overly simplified. You do bachelor party t-shirts, chances are your next order referred out is going to be another bachelor party, not Google's business. Okay? Once we became a little more selective with clients, we actually saw this bear out. We saw that the referrals to the clients that weren't a good fit for us stopped coming in. So to the point about always saying yes, that one was probably easier for them. They said, look, you need to go back to your employees and also your spouses and say, what do you think about the always say yes mentality? It took 2 seconds for them to say, we hate the always say yes mentality. We're burned out. We're tired of bending over backwards for clients that we shouldn't be bending over backwards. All right, so we bought in finally. So what did we do? What was our process? So the first thing we did was we started with our mission, vision, and values. Now we had written this out a few years before, and it was time to dust that off and take a look at it. So our mission, our vision was to be a top 40 distributor, was to be a place that showed up on best places to work, was to be a very profitable company that uses our profits for the good of the local community. Did we still believe in that? Yes, absolutely. We still have grand plans. Well, how does that match up with getting rid of clients? Well, it becomes a whole lot easier to be a big, profitable company when you don't have to deal with the 329 clients that only account for $8,400 worth of profit. So that we were able to check the box on that. Next, we address the always say yes mentality. We just made a simple change to it. We said, you know what, we're going to say yes to the right opportunities. that could mean some really hard conversations, and it did mean some really hard conversations where we had to say no to an opportunity that wasn't right, at least for us. For example, we're not great at web store programs. Our clients were frustrated with us. We weren't handling them well. It didn't match the service levels that we promised. So we've had to turn away programs at some pretty good value because it's not who we are. In the end, the clients were very happy with us being pretty open and transparent about it. Another thing we did was we put in an annual minimum. So an annual minimum about a sales to be able to work with us, or really for us to call on them. This is not an ironclad contract. This is not money up front or anything like that. It's really just a guideline for us to know if it's going to be a good fit to work with them and for them to work with us. Since we've done that, since we've done that, our employees and our clients have absolutely loved us for doing it. On the client side, we were very, again, open and transparent about what we were doing. Our older clients that we don't work with anymore, some on the smaller side, they loved it. First, they could already sense that our service level was dropping a little bit, and they just loved the transparency of us telling them, we're not going to be able to service you like you need to be serviced. We were able to find referral partners in the area that we said, go to this person. They're going to do a much better job with your business than we are. Second, it's been a really nice way to be open and aggressive about how much a company spends. Hey, we only work with companies of this size or with this spend. Are you there? If so, where are the departments? I mean, we can get pretty aggressive with asking, what they spend a year. And then third, our employees loved it. They're incentivized for growth, and it was very, very hard for them to grow having to deal with these smaller clients. So now they're able to focus that time, that energy on the bigger projects, the bigger clients. So we've been at it. It took us about 2 years to really formulate. I mean, it was a big decision for us, a big change. So it's really not for the faint of heart, at least the way that we did it. It took us about 2 years to get going, and then we've been at it about 3 years. And honestly, it's been a great move for us so far. So as you can see, clients have been reduced. Average client size has gone up. One of my favorite things to it is we've gone up in revenue, but haven't had to add a bunch of employees. Our employees are mostly, almost entirely salary based. So anytime we add someone, it's a pretty big hit to the bottom line. So that's where we are. That's been our experience. If I left you with just a few things, our plan, the way we went about it was pretty grand, was pretty ambitious. I don't recommend it for everyone, like I said. What I would recommend, I have a feeling most people in here have some clients in their mind that you shouldn't be working with, that aren't a good fit. What I would recommend is that you either get rid of them, or more importantly, maybe take your business numbers, your details, to a group of outside people and let them really, really dissect your company, point out things that that maybe you're not seeing. Okay, so the second avenue we've taken in trying to be more efficient, more profitable, is by pretty heavy use of offshoring, especially for a company of our size. And it's typically more in the supplier end than distributor end. So I'm sure most of y'all are pretty familiar with some of the companies in our industry that help with this, doing things like virtual creation or vectorizing art or order entry or data entry. Our story's the same. We just tried to put it on steroids. So what do I mean by that? Well, like I said earlier, we require our employees are highly incentivized and are very involved with larger, more complex projects, very creative stuff. When we did that time study, tied to the other, to evaluating our client list, we noticed some areas of waste or of just repetitive actions that we thought we could address. So the first was presentations. This is partly on our end, trying to be as customized as possible. Every one of our presentations to our clients has to go out on their specific branded template. And in most cases, every one of the products needs to be a virtual, not just a random picture. So super as customized as we can make it in the time that we're given. Second, we noticed that we were putting a lot of the same products in the presentations. So think about it. How many trade show presentations have you sent out that contain the same 3 to 5 core products? You probably have plenty more, but there are a lot of the same products. And then third, there were a good number of repetitive actions involved in all the projects. This would be things like checking inventory, requesting virtuals, ordering samples, just a good number of activities like that. So we looked at that and we said, there's probably a good opportunity to take this, to get some help for this. We don't want to hire a full-time person in the US. They're expensive to do that. So we looked at it as an opportunity. Well, so we said, we're going to do this, but we set out some pretty lofty goals for doing it. We didn't want to just kind of barely send out a few of the activities. We wanted to do it big. And the goal we set for ourselves was to offshore 75% of every single person's job at Meyer Dunlap. That's my job down to accounting. Everybody we needed to offshore, we wanted to, that was the goal, offshore 75% of what they do, leaving 25% of what no one else can do. So what does that mean? What is 25% of, what is that no one else can do? No one else, and when I say no one, I mean nobody overseas. No one else can take your client to a happy hour. No one else can convince a supplier about the urgency of the order. No one else feels that like you do. No one else can walk the client back from the ledge of a really tricky rush project. That's the type of stuff that we wanted to really get them focused on. We really wanted them to be doing that stuff. Now we told them when we set out this goal, no one here is going to lose their job because of offshoring. We might be slower to hire because of this, but no one's going to lose their job. But we did tell them, we made it very clear, once we do this, your job will change in a way because we will expect more proactive ideas, a lot more. We're going to expect you to be much better at problem resolution. We're going to expect you to be better at building the relationships. We're going to expect everybody to work together a lot more than we had to elevate the whole team together. So what was our process on doing it? So first thing is we spent about 2 years in the whole process to even getting to where we really ramped up. So what did we do? We wrote up just about every process we could in the business. We tested them internally before even sending them out. So I would write a process and have somebody in the office do it before we sent it. We trickle hired people over in the Philippines rather than hiring the whole group at one time. We read everything we could about making a successful offshoring program. So we really knew that once we went for this, we were teed up for success. So once we decided to go forward on a grand scale, we set some ground rules. The first one was we committed to have an offshore employee or team member for every team member in the US. So everybody would have a dedicated person. They would know their name. They would know as much as we could about them. And what that helped us with, again, with the larger clients, larger projects, it really helped that individual team member in the Philippines know the client, know the PMS colors, know the products that client typically likes, know the products that they didn't like, know what sort of time frames they operated on. So it really has helped them being able to talk to each other very specifically about clients. Second, it's a different country, it's a long way away, but as part of our values, we really wanted to make sure that we instilled the same values to our team in the Philippines. So what does that mean? That means things like we buy meals for the office every Tuesday and Thursday. The Philippines is also going to get free meals every Tuesday and Thursday. It means that we're going to put them on similar compensation plans, similar incentives. Everybody's working towards the same goal. It also means things like we pay for transportation in the Philippines. They told me that it was taking over an hour to get to the office every day, so we've got a Meyer Dunlap jeepney that takes them to the office. And finally, we committed to training them just as much as we train our employees here. This has absolutely been the hardest part. It's very hard to do trainings remote over Skype, a lot of Skype calls. Visits to the Philippines aren't easy. But we wanted to make sure that they got better and better at their job as we got better and better. So we have, the last thing is don't do it if you're not willing and able to eat balut. What's balut? It's something that Filipinos eat, and it's disgusting, and I can't believe they eat it daily. Don't even Google image it. So we have, and I'm sure everybody is. I'm hoping everybody is. I'll gasp. We have, so we're a couple years into it. We aren't anywhere close to our lofty goal of 75% of everybody's work being offshored. But we've seen a lot of good success out of it. I think the thing that reinforces the success for me is that many times our employees will come to us and say, please don't do anything with our help in the Philippines. I don't know what I did without it. So that's our experience with trying to become more efficient and profitable in the promotional products industry. Happy to speak more with you about it offline. I know that there's more we can do. I know that I go too far sometimes with it, but we have had success in those areas, and it's really fun to talk about. The last thing I will leave you with, even though it is horribly inefficient, obey your traffic laws on your bike. Thanks.